Good morning, Nuggets. It is your favorite TT from Divine Me 1111 Spiritual Guidance. It is 5:21 a.m. and I'm awake. um, I am very much awake. I have been awake since about 1:30 this morning. When there are things that are on my mind, I pray. And so this morning I have been very much in conversation and in communion with God, and, going within and making sure that I am in my proper emotional, mental, and spiritual space. Revelations are not easy. Revelations of one's own actions and beliefs, and learning yourself, and figuring out what's yours and what isn't yours, and how to separate the two so that you can operate in your gifts properly. I went outside just a bit ago because I was called to go outside to pray. And I look out and it's raining good fashion. I mean good fashion, like big old fat raindrops, they just coming, okay? And I still went out because that's what I was called to do. I still went out. It's only water. It's not going to hurt me. And I prayed, and I was called to pray for my masculine, yes, but I'm going to say the divine masculine as a collective, because there is a lot of energetic shifting going on, and I'm not trying to get all, like otherworldly and all that stuff. We're just getting down to the, 3D of it all. There is a lot going on, and we are not used to paying attention to those things that go on outside of us in the spirit. And when we don't see things in the spirit, we repeat cycles, we repeat karma, we repeat things that God is trying to get us to see that we can grow from. And it not only just goes for adults and the adult stuff that we go through with, relationships and romantic partnerships and jobs and education, and it's not just those things. These things begin with us at the early stages. These things start when we're 3, 4, and 5 years old, and even before that. I have been looking at a lot of things. Now, there are some cultures, and I will specifically, Asian cultures do not reveal reveal or talk about their pregnancies until after the fact, until the baby's like been here 2 or 3 months before you even know that an Asian woman is pregnant. I think that for one is for a spiritual reason. I think it has a lot to do with state of mind and consciousness and being able to be in an energetic body of peace within, so as not to transfer that energy to the child. There are African cultures that do the same thing. And it's just amazing to me how we could very well stop a lot of things generationally if we just took time to look at how our state of mind is passed down from one generation to the next. Sorry, guys. Oh man, well, at least y'all can't see me. I'm drinking some water. Hold on one second. I think a lot of things that need to be healed within most communities have to do with our state of mind and our original concept of what it is to be a life and a light being on this earth. We make everything about consumption, but we don't take into consideration what it is that we are here to give to the world. And so we have become takers and consumers rather than creators and builders of healing. And I understand that not everything is about healing, but however, if you look at the world today, there is a lot of hurt walking around here. I am going to include myself in that because there are things that I am still working on. There are things that still trigger defense mechanisms in me to just shut down and tell people to F off. That's not godly, and I know it, and I know better, but I am protecting, quote unquote, to myself. I am protecting myself from further hurt rather than using my words and correcting the offense as it happens. Because of course we teach people how to treat us. So when we are not in the state of mind of empathy, one to the other, all kinds of things and energies and projections and all that stuff comes out. The masculine community right now is completely thrown off of its game. And I say that because masculines are taught to be protectors and providers and producers. They are meant to sow seed. A lot of them lost their jobs, which means to them they lost their identities rather than knowing who they are from just being a being God's child, being a spirit breathed into this existence. A lot of them lost that and they became angry. And I get it. I get it. But there is a part of that that is to teach that you are not your occupation. You are not, the label that has been put upon you, or the expectation that has been put upon you. A lot of this is having to do this new moon energy. Oh, my air conditioner went. I forgot all about that being all super loud. My bad, y'all. Hopefully you heard the first 11 minutes and 11 seconds of that. But anyway, this time of, the shutdown and whatnot has I really believe been more about us growing spiritually and going back to God and getting in the energy of self-awareness and self-acceptance for who we are as beings, and then going into being the creators that we are, co-creators with God that we are. There's a lot of throat chakra things going on. Everyone is in the realm of speaking their truth and not just being real, which I think is fantastic. I think that's awesome. I believe that not only are we to speak our truth, but we're also to be in a receptive mode of hearing the truth and being honest with ourselves. And I think that the masculine community is kind of thrown off of its rocker a bit, with these last bits of falsehoods falling off and us all coming into our true authenticity. And that also goes for the feminine collective as well. Us coming into the energy and the understanding that we don't have to always be the pillar and be that strength. We're okay with relaxing that and being in a mode and an understanding of receptivity. We are receivers. The males, the men, the masculine is supposed to be the giver. He is to give. He is to give affection, give, whatever. He is to give, and we are to be receivers. However, when we receive, we are to multiply that and produce something even greater. So I think God is calling us now into a level of understanding of how we are to properly function from a spiritual standpoint. Everyone is, we've all been taught the whole gender roles and what is expected of us as far as those gender roles go. But there's more to it than a gender role, because the thing is we are all capable That is what we are to understand, is that we are all capable of aligning both our masculine and feminine energies within as individuals, and then coming together and in that yin and yang of flow, the feminine energy knowing, okay, I can relax this energy of my masculinity because I have a masculine who is not only in his masculine energy and grounded in his masculine energy, but he is also capable of receiving and accepting and allowing me to be in my feminine and masculine energy as he is, and then vice versa. Feminines, we have to allow the masculine energies to accept his feminine energy and explore that and be able to communicate that to us in a way that is comfortable for him, but he also knows how to articulate it. Energy is so important right now because we are so very, very much sensitive. There are a lot of us who are coming into the awareness of just how impactful the spiritual realm is, and just how all of this really truly works together. It's not just science and logic and nature, but it is also nurturing and spirit and emotions. All of that has to come together in order to create a space where we can all flow and function in that, and do that where we feel safe and feel comfortable. I know there are a lot of people who aren't comfortable expressing their feelings. I say a lot, but there's more that I don't say because of, one, fear of being rejected, two, being as sensitive as a person as I am, and I tend to take a lot of things personally because I feel things so deeply. It affects me and it offends me when other people's energy does not match what their words are, and I understand it. And the thing is I understand it because I too am guilty of, I'm going to say things or say this to pacify this other person so they're not hurting or they don't question themselves. But in that, I am lying to myself and also lying to them, because I am not giving to that person the truth that they need to see, nor am I being authentic to myself. So we're both fucking up. Okay? There is quite a need to truly, everybody's throwing around the, protect your energy, all that stuff. And true, that is so, I cannot express to you how true that is, to not allow other things, beings, people, energy, situations to affect the core of you. Because when you take all of that in and you take all of that on, especially, not having healed things that have been, um, you know, church hurt, bullied, all that stuff from, your childhood, and having repressed those things, when that stuff starts coming up, it's not cute, it's not fun, it's not, but it is healing. And that is what we are supposed to do in order for us to raise the whole vibration of the collective and everybody come into understanding of, once all things have come into understanding of one another, there, like this, literally the sky is the limit. When you come into understanding of yourself, you kind of, get that. That's that whole, and I have been waiting for this like for a long time, and then I finally got to the point where I stopped waiting, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't have to wait for this. I can do this now. You know how, like, older people in their, 60s, 70s, and beyond, they just, whatever the hell comes to their mind, that's what the hell they say. And it's not a arrogant kind of thing. It's I earned the right to say what the hell I want to say. I put my dues in. Well, when I was younger, I used to be like, I can't wait till I get so and so age so I can say what I want to say. And now I look at that and I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. I am no longer a child. I am in. Hold on. Because the thing is we are always going to be children, because we are always learning. That is that. But I am an adult, and I have earned the right as a sovereign being to speak the truth that is given me. And from my perspective, if it's not accepted by others, that's okay. And the reason it is okay is because it's my truth. It doesn't have to be anybody else's. And I think once we come into understanding of that for each other, then we can have respect for one another, and then we can take on the energy of growing. This whole thing with Kanye and Nick Cannon, it is incredibly disturbing. And Will Smith, yes, it is incredibly disturbing to me that those men that I've just named were men that were, when they first started, when they began, they were very, very looked up to and very celebrated globally. There is something about the energies or powers that be that do not want to see black men have any kind of status. And it is disheartening. It's very disturbing, because for some reason there's always something to tarnish what they have done. The this status that they have, have gained for themselves. And for the most part, usually it's entertainment, because that's really the only area that the powers that be want to see Africans in, is entertaining. Because God forbid, um, there's more to life than telling a joke, or, you know, producing a song. And I am not knocking those things in the least. But when we start to build foundation and infrastructure and get structure, there's a problem. There's an issue. Something has to be found out about him to taint his legacy. Dr. Cosby. Really? That was America's dad. America's dad, not just Black America. That was America's dad. 30 years later, after this man has tried to purchase NBC and get some network going and some more positive programming on television, such as A Different World and The Cosby Show, now he's accused of rape. And everything that he has worked for has... His son was killed first. The first time he tried to buy NBC, his son was killed. Oh yes, I say all those kinds of things. Conspiracy theorist, you can call me that. That's fine. I've been called much worse. Dr. King, that was a 35-year-old man who led millions. He was killed, and then later he was called a whoremonger, and his legacy was tarnished with those kinds of things. But what is not told is, and publicly told and actually spoken in history classes, is that the American government had him assassinated. But we won't talk about that. So we won't talk about Brother Malcolm. We won't talk about that. We won't talk about how he was set up and used by his own people once he started to awaken to what was actually going on. We're not talking about those things. Let's fast forward, shall we? So now we have Mr. West, who is seemingly at the brink of a complete mental breakdown. I send him love and healing. There is something seriously going on with that man and being around those women. This is track record. This is history I'm giving you. This is not anything that I've made up. This is not some kind of conspiracy. I'm pulling something out of my ass. If you look at every man that has come into the realm or spectrum of those Kardashian women, each of them have an issue. Each of them have come away with something wrong with them, especially the black men. And I'm going to leave that at that. But there is something energetically going on over there with him. And he is in need of serious help and intervention. There is something spiritually, energetically, and mentally going on with that man. And everybody's laughing. It's all fun and laughter and games to the world, and that man is truly in pain. He's crying out, and people are making jokes about it. That's disturbing. That is the disturbing world that we live in, is we can see and look at someone hurting. I'm not even going to get on the police brutality. I'm not getting on that, because Lord knows I will get on fire. But the world is mocking and laughing at someone's pain. That is a level of low that I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss. Brother Nick Cannon, the same thing. I said this, rest in peace, Mr. Nipsey Hussle. But I said this just after Nipsey passed away. As soon as Nick said, I am going to finish the documentary that Nipsey started on Dr. Sebi, I said, watch and keep prayer for Nick Cannon, because they're going to come for him. This is what we have now, and this man should seriously be on some kind of watch, because they're coming for his mind. Nick did a whole lot of stuff on TV. He was as they wanted, as the powers that be wanted, the Jewish community that runs entertainment and all that stuff. Yes, that is what they wanted. They used him to bring in all of us, our $1 trillion entity self. I'm speaking to my African brothers and sisters right now. Don't, if you take offense, just click off. It's okay. I love you anyway. But he brought that $1 trillion entity with him wherever he went. Okay? Just like Michael Jackson, just like Prince. They do not want us to have an untarnished legacy. But if you say something about Elvis, they're gonna burn you at the stake. We don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about those things. So, as we are coming into all this information age and all this knowingness and all this woke culture and consciousness and whatnot, I think we need to be more mindful of what we are feeding into, especially when it comes to energies that are trying to manipulate and control. I believe that we need to come into an understanding of our divinity and how much power we hold as individuals within ourselves in our everyday lives, and as a collective of African people, and then as a collective as the human race. Okay? There is so much more going on in this world and in this understanding than we are looking at, than we want to look at. Because if we actually start looking at the coincidences and how the stars are aligning for all of this energy, and they have aligned before in the 60s, the same energy. And if we look at this and we actually take these things seriously and into consideration, we'll see the pattern, and we'll know how to shift it and how to change it. 5:55. Oh my gosh, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Jesus. everything that we have at hand can be utilized to move us forward. What we need to do, what we are being called to do, what is being asked of us on a divine perspective is to just see and walk in love. Just not even okay. Let's back up, because for some, love is something that has a condition. So let's take love off of the table, which we never should, because it's always there, it's ever present. But I think if we could start with basic human respect for one another, respect, to live in truth and honesty with one another, rather than being in a space of consumption and fear. I think we would see another level of God come into this world. That whole, everybody's looking for, revelations. And in all honesty, revelations is going on right now. All you have to do is open your eyes, and if each generation lives the last days. Let's get that out of the way, okay? Each generation lives the last days. So let's look at, let's look at this in a different perspective. Now, if I'm wrong, somebody, get they pastor, they preacher, they rabbi, somebody on here and correct me and let me know. But the way that I am seeing spirituality and the lessons of the Bible, if we are going to walk in this, let's elevate it to a level of love and understanding, rather than indoctrination to control. That's not what I believe God is calling us to do with each other, is try to control and manipulate each other. I just don't see that being very divine. But what I do see being divine is having empathy for one another and loving one another beyond our behaviors. Because we are all acting from our own personal experiences. You don't know, you can live in the very same household, see the very same things all of your life, but still get a different perspective. So allow people their perspective. Is it hurting you what somebody else thinks about themselves? If it is, you may want to check yourself. And that's real talk. That's real love right there. If someone else being authentically them in any way hurts you, that is not, physically taking something from you or inflicting pain on you, but they are just being and existing, there is something wrong with your understanding of what we're all here for. No one is here to entertain you. We're here to love each other and be truest to who God created us to be. I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see where that is impeding on anyone else's level of being or understanding of who they are. But I think it is very telling when someone else's peace and happiness is something that you wish to take away because you don't have the same thing within yourself. So that's 40 minutes of TT talk, and I'll let that be for now. But yeah, I was just led to speak on that divine masculine energy that is in need of so much understanding, but also get your ass up. I am that female, I am that feminine, I am that TT, I'm that sister. I love you, and I will do everything that I can to help you achieve what you want to achieve, as I am doing my own. What's not getting ready to happen, I'm not getting ready to coddle you. That stage of life is over. You are responsible for your own healing. So, if you need help, open your mouth. If you don't know how to express something, get a piece of paper. Write it down. Do something to be able to communicate your feelings and emotions. Otherwise, there will be situations where we see, the unfortunate breakdown and episode of Mr. West. That's not healthy. It's not healthy. And I don't care what anyone says, that's not healthy, because that is pain that is not being addressed properly. Okay? We healing around here. I love you all. I thank you all. My goodness, thank you. Thank you all so very, very much for listening. It's been an interesting journey. Again, this is my third year of officially doing spiritual guidance, so I am appreciative, and I am doing the best that I know as God guides me. So with that being said, any information that you would need to get in contact with me for a personal guidance reading, please check the description box below. I thank you again for your good karma donations. Those links are also in the description box. Please check out your mid-months and some of those other TT talks. Again, I send you all love, blessings, and light. Take care.